Hello, thank you for joining us this morning. Welcome to the second OEA MOU update and question and answer period. My name is Catherine Wilson, and I am a third grade teacher at Esperanza.
And my name is Jaja Atunwa, and I'm a teacher at Community Day School. And Karen and I are both members of your OEA bargaining team.
So Jaja and I are here today to give you an update about the MOU negotiations we were in yesterday with a particular focus on safety. The process here will be the same as the last live stream. We'll give a short update where things stand now, and then we'll take your questions. If you have a question about the MOU, the negotiations, or the process, just type it into the YouTube comments section of the live stream. As we receive your questions, we will do our best to answer them. If we aren't able to give you an answer, we'll work to get you an answer in our next update. With that said, I'll turn it over to Jaja to give you an update from yesterday.
Yes, so yesterday we met with OUSD for about 2.5 hours to hear their counter proposal on safety and then ask questions. It quickly became clear that the district has not made any significant movements in their proposal on safety. When it comes to testing, they said that all they're willing to do is provide educators and community residents and family members with information about testing locations. That is not acceptable. Testing is a key component to the return to in-person instruction. And that's not just me saying it. According to the most recent member feedback, 83% of members directly identify safety as their top priority in negotiation and named widespread testing and contact tracing as their #1 safety priority. Safety has been the foundation of our conversations and bargaining with the district, and so safety will be our topic today.
Thank you, Jaja, for that recap. And at this time, we'll take your questions. And like I said before, we may not be able to answer all of your questions now, but we will do our best to answer them in live streams that are up and coming. And we are really going to be focused in on safety, but feel free to ask any questions you would like. So our first question that's coming in is about PPE and what PPE is being prioritized, and what are we planning in our OEA proposals, Jaja? And maybe you could talk a little bit about what the district is proposing as well.
Yes, so when we think about safety, for as the district is concerned, they're just meeting the minimal requirements of CDC. Whereas when we think about safety with OEA, we're thinking about taking all the necessary precautions as it pertains to safety. And so OUSD is only proposing that unit members receive 1 reusable mask or 4 disposable masks per month, a face shield, 1 box of gloves, cleaning spray, and paper towels. Whereas OEA, we are proposing that the district provide 3 disposable masks per day for each student and staff, and N95 masks for professionals conducting one-to-one assessments per day. We're also requiring clear face masks for members interacting with IEP students, face shields, gloves, smocks, no-touch thermometers, and physical barriers and gowns. So that is primarily the difference between someone meeting a minimal requirement and someone who's taking all the necessary precautions to ensure that unit members are safe. And with that, I'll go with the next question. Karen, if safety measures are met, what recourse will staff have to opt out of site-based teaching?
So we've been talking about this, and if you may have read in our MOU that there are definitely populations of people who we're really concerned about due to underlying medical conditions, or they live with somebody who has underlying medical conditions. And we're trying to provide a way for parent or for staff members to be able to be paired up with students who are also in that category or whose parents opt to keep them at home from distance learning. As I think you know, we are really concerned about safety, and we have a lot of concerns about the arbitrary dates that have been provided by the district. And that's one of the questions, Shaja, that I'm going to send back to you, which is the district has proposed certain dates that will return for in-person instruction. And those dates reflect different phases. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between how OUSD measures our comeback to in-person instruction and how OEA has opted to come back to instruction?
Yeah, so OUA, we have criteria 1 and criteria 2. And so basically what we're saying is that in order for us to come back to in-person instruction, there needs to be a downward trajectory of documented cases, hospitalizations, and positivity rates at least 14 days. And then the other part of that is that we are requiring that there's continuous science-based testing for students and staff. So that is the difference. Whereas the OUSD is basically saying that we're going to bring back staff and students and phase them in over a period of time and evaluate the process, the safety, as they go along. Well, we're demanding that safety is the #1 priority and that our lives are at stake and that we're not willing to take that risk of doing it the district way. We want to make sure all of these criteria are met before we enter the work site. And next question, Karen. What is the plan for cleaning? What OUSD staff recommended yesterday was, what was the plan for cleaning? I'll just leave it like that. I think it's simpler.
Yeah, so we have been looking and at many guidelines from Cal OSHA, guidelines from the federal CDC department, the California CDC department, as well as from the county. They have approved lists of cleansers that are appropriate to be used in this case that will kill the virus, and we are proposing that they use those lists. I think that one of the primary differences between the proposal between OEA and OUSD is that we are saying that there are going to be instances where we're going to need to clean between groups of students, that it's probably not realistic to believe that we'll make it back to in-person instruction and think that we're all going to be sitting in one room together all the time, because we know we also need to attend to our students who have special resources that are being pulled out by resource teachers, by speech teachers, by psychologists, and that we really need to make sure that there's proper cleaning in between those classrooms where students are being pulled to, and that they are provided with new masks and hand cleaning and everything before they go back and forth between settings. And we're really concerned because, as you all know, OUSD has a difficult time with this as we are entering into a normal school year. If this were a normal school year, many of us have problems with the cleanliness, with toilet paper not being stocked, with bathrooms not having soap and paper towels. And so we're really concerned about this. And we would like very strong language to protect all of our members and students and all of our staff and to keep everybody really safe. Our community is very important in that way. So also some things that people have been asking about is testing, Jaja, and some people are concerned about being tested and also about the self-reporting of tests or maybe even the self-reporting of symptoms. Can you talk about how we propose to help people handle that situation in our offices?
Right. So for those, like I say, what we're bargaining is that there's continuous testing and that the district provide that testing to individuals, staff members, family, and students. Whereas the district is providing information about testing locations. And so that is the big difference. And that for those individuals who, I guess you're asking who want to opt out of testing, is that part of the question?
I think that's part of it. I think people are concerned about the self-reporting and about possibly people having who don't get tested because they don't have symptoms.
Right. And so as it pertains to OEA, we want testing for all unit members, students, and family members and residents. So because it's vital that we have that data to keep track of the infection rate. And so without proper testing, what happens is that infection rates can seem to go down, and that's really because there's not been enough testing in the communities, in the schools, and so it can appear that the testing rate has gone down. So we don't want that level of manipulation to happen, so that is why we're demanding that the district provide continuous testing for staff, residents, family members, and students. Okay, Karen, is there any way the district might budge on starting a little later so we can get technology to all kids and get teachers trained properly for better distance learning?
So this is an interesting question. We have an established calendar that we've already accepted and turned in. I don't think they're going to budge on starting later. AB 77, which is the assembly bill that guides our instructional minutes and instructional days, requires us to have 180 days of instruction. But we are pushing them to provide not only Chromebooks, but also internet for both our students, who we know that students not having those resources really complicated our instruction last year. But another thing that really complicated our instruction last year was inadequate Chromebooks that teachers had that weren't able to open up a Zoom page and then share a Google page, a Google Classroom page, and then go to share an assignment, and that became a real challenge for teachers. And we're really working hard to make sure that the district understands that this isn't a nice thing. This is a necessary part of this year's instruction, and we have to be able to provide that for our staff and for our students and for our support staff who are working to support us, and even for our substitutes who are also working to support us. As we head into this year, we know we're going to be working more on assessments, and that we want to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable, but also we're able to hold students accountable. And that will mean that everybody on staff needs to have working internet provided for them, a hotspot if possible, if they need it. I don't mean if possible, if needed. And also they need to have a computer that works and supports what we need to do in order to be excellent teachers.
Good. And I'll just add to that to show you how ridiculous the district is that they're proposing to open up 6 ECE sites on July 20th. Today is July 14th. So according to their own proposal, they ought to provide training for all of those staff and teachers before July 20th in order to open up these sites. So roughly, that training has to take place over the next, 3 days in order for them to open up these sites on Monday, which is totally ridiculous. So this is why the OEA is sticking to our criteria in order to ensure that all safety precautions are being met. And Karen, I'm gonna skip and I'm gonna ask you another question because I think you're probably better at answering this than me. Are we asking Alameda County for testing and tracing or OUSD? And then the second part of that is that are there any effective models of COVID-19 testing and contact tracing in any county in the U.S.?
Well, we are asking that Alameda County work with OUSD to do tracing. We know that during the summertime, at least at Esperanza, we've had multiple cases where families have had questionable things that they've wanted to ask us about, or they've wanted to ask us about information about COVID-19. And so we've wanted to make sure that we're giving them as much information as possible. And we know that as being part of the district, that teachers are going to be an excellent source of information and that we're going to get sourced, but we're going to get information that other people may not get. But what's really important is that that information goes into a tracing system. I don't know if there are effective tracing systems in counties in the United States. I know that Gavin Newsom talks about it during each of his weekly updates. He talks about contact tracing and about the systems that they're putting into place with Stanford and with UC Berkeley, and that they're developing these programs. I have to believe that the county is working on that as well. And it's imperative that we pair with the county as the largest district and that we set a standard for making sure that our community knows when we have an outbreak, or even if we just have a single case in a school, so that we make a conscientious, science-based decision about how to move forward for the safety of our students and our staff. I think as we move forward, we have to insist that this happens, and taking the best thinking from those higher educational institutions, I think, is going to be key to us. So, and we will definitely continue to update this information and learn more as we move forward. And in thinking about that, I noticed that somebody was asking a question that's near and dear to your heart, Jaja, and that's about ventilation and about air quality. So, and air, cleaning the air around us. So can you address that?
Yeah, so it's very important for students and staff that when we're at the school sites, that there's proper ventilation, because it's been shown that COVID-19 can basically be airborne and also on surface areas. So a lot of the school sites, classrooms, do not have proper ventilation. In my own classroom, the windows, we have windows, but they are sealed. So they're pretty much a wall. And so there's no proper ventilation. So in order for us, for the district to provide a safe environment, they have to have proper ventilation so the air flow can flow in that classroom. And so there's a constant refreshment of air, and you don't have COVID-19 just lingering in the classroom. So, and I know at my school site and probably at many other schools, this is a big issue. And so the district is either left with the options of opening those windows or providing air sanitizers in those classrooms. And it seems like the district is just basically trying to take, like I said, do the cheapest way out of providing safety. And so they think that one little window in the classroom is enough ventilation for the whole classroom. Or if you just have your door open, that's enough ventilation. But we are demanding more. We are demanding that they take additional steps with opening those windows and providing air sanitizers. Mm-hmm. And Karen, can teachers who are immune, can teachers whose immune system is compromised or who have immediately immune compromised family members opt out of in-person instruction on sites and just do remote learning for the year?
We are trying to prepare for that. I think that I have been watching and working to keep up with what's happening with parents in our communities, and listening to the live stream that OUSD has put out. I think there are going to be a fair number of students who are not going to return to school. And we're working to make sure that staff is paired up with those students who will not return to school while there is risk involved, and that we work to maintain that those relationships and build that into our MOU with the district, because this is real. On our campus, we have people in three of the categories that we think about when we think about people who are jeopardizing themselves for coming back on campus with in-person instruction. And that's what keeps me going, actually, through the all morning and all thinking about this all morning and all night, and with all of you in the team, is that I want to protect our staff members and our students who are immunocompromised. I find this to be unacceptable, to just use a date that's arbitrary that says we'll be back. I know they say that they're using science, and that those dates can be flexed, but they don't give us a criteria for how they would flex that date exactly. So that's a real concern for me. And that's a real concern for all of us. And Jaja and I have been working on the safety component, but when that comes up, there's 21 people pushing back on how can we make this safe for everyone, not just a few teachers, but for all of our teachers, and thinking about our experienced teachers and our new teachers who are coming into the system and how overwhelming this might be. And the other thing that comes to mind for me is the sad story that just happened in Arizona, where there were 3 teachers teaching summer school and one of them passed away. And I listened this morning to an interview with one of her partner teachers, and it's just heartbreaking to think about how she's going to go back to school and work with first graders who thought their teacher next year was going to be Miss Kim, and now she's not there anymore, and how her family is going to have to cope with their loss. And it's real. This is a real, it has real victims, and we have to really work hard to take care of ourselves. And that's why I think why this team of 21 people and are working so hard day and night to take care of everybody. And we feel so much passion about it. Something that's coming up multiple times, and we've talked about it a little bit, is about cleaning, and about how in the world can our custodians, who we know are overwhelmed by the amount of work that they have to do on a regular basis, how can they be expected to keep our buildings clean?
Yeah, this is a daunting task because many schools, sites They have one custodian, maybe two, and then there are some cases where there's no custodian. And so the expectation from the district is that custodians will be responsible for doing all of this cleaning, this disinfecting, from classrooms to bathrooms to doorknobs to you name it, toys to playground equipment. And I just find that to be unrealistic. And so we are demanding that the district hire additional custodians for cleaning, but also there is additional technology that the district, if they choose, they could use to help decontaminate classrooms and workspaces. And that is UVC technology, ultraviolet light, which is what is used in many hospitals and surgery rooms to decontaminate for viruses and bacteria. They can also use air sanitizers, as I mentioned before, to also assist in the cleaning, so that burden is not put on just one or two custodians. And lastly, I think it's dangerous to go back during the climb to the peak of a pandemic. I think they're saying going back to school during the peak of the pandemic. What do you do with students who go against the rules for social distancing?
So there was an earlier question in the chat asking us about social distancing and hand washing, masks. And so as an elementary school teacher, I know that I'm going to have a lot of responsibility when we do go back, when we have met our safety criteria, to enforce and watch and help and teach and coach children on how to socially distance, wash their hands, wear their masks. And we haven't seen any proposals that OUSD is hiring additional health monitors, and we haven't actually asked for that. We know that what we have asked for is the fact that this is going to have to be a part of our instructional minutes. Once we go back, we know that before we left, I spent 10 minutes almost getting ready to go to recess and 15 minutes on our way back, making sure everybody washed their hands and took care of those things. I can imagine I'm going to make a lot of T-charts that say, what does it look like to wear a mask? Let's have somebody demonstrate the right way to wear a mask. And what does it feel like? And I'm sure we're going to have to go through the reality that it's uncomfortable, that it's hard to breathe sometimes, that it gets hot. I mean, we all know because we've been wearing masks in our county for months, and how to wash their hands, singing those songs. I teach third grade. Jaja, on the other hand, is at a completely different site than I am. And I can imagine that he is going to be facing more around kids who don't want to wear a mask and who are going to say, I don't want to wear a mask. And so we're trying to address that. We found some language from other districts also that said things about how they're going to enforce it. And I think that the main thing is that we have to stay safe. And there's that last question that says, can we go on strike? And I think, like Keith said last time, it's always a worker's right to go on strike. And we are going to work as your OEA negotiating team to prevent us from having to go on strike, and to really help the district understand that we are very serious about our criteria, and that we are really committed to doing what's right for our students, and that we all want to get back into the classroom when it's safe, and that we all want our students to learn the best that they can.
Okay. And I guess we can wrap it up now. We're continuing our talks with the district today. In the meantime, if you're not already, we encourage OEA members to review the draft MOU proposal and fill out the feedback form so that we can get so that we can be sure to get your questions and concerns on the document. Thank you for those who have responded. One last thing, we want to make clear that everything OUSD announces is not final. That's crucial. All conditions which we start the school year have to be negotiated. And just, I'm gonna add my last part to it, is remember that all safety demands are AAA type of safety demands, and the district is safety demands is at best a B rating safety demands. Karen?
I want to say thank you all for joining us today. Please continue to join us. Please keep sending us emails, send us notes. We're listening, and we want to represent everybody. If you have something that comes up that we haven't thought of, we appreciate it greatly. So thank you all for joining us, and have a good day and enjoy your summer break.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.